Hi everyone! So today I'm filming a Q&A video and I'm out here in my bright shed and I'm squinting already, so I'm thinking, is this a good idea to be out here filming? I have a section in the roof that is clear. This used to be a greenhouse shed and there is some snow still on that clear part which prevents the sun from shining, fully in here. But it slides off every now and then because the sun is nice and warm. Thankful for that. But it scares me every time it goes a-sliding. But we'll try it, see how it goes. I'm not sure once the snow is gone on the roof, I'll probably be engulfed in complete brightness, but we'll see what happens. And I wanted to mention I haven't filmed a Q&A in a few months, and I apologize for that. Many of you have been asking for one, and I'm sorry I haven't gotten around to filming any. I think the last one I filmed may have been in October. Can't believe it. And I know I got caught up in some of the holiday videos and I just simply did not get around to it. I even have some questions from those videos. My niece usually gets the questions together. So I'm going to cover a few questions here and there, but honestly I'm not really in the mood to talk about Christmas because here we are in March and we should be thinking spring, right? But I felt bad to not just get a few of the questions from those videos, so I wrote them down here so I know where to find them here on my computer. So hopefully you'll have patience with me as I sort through all of these videos. At this point I'm not quite sure how far I'm going to come in this video. I may end up doing a second one soon, and I want to get caught up again with my regular Q&As where I do one towards the end of the month or the first of the month. And just take the previous 4 or 5 videos. I definitely want to get back into that schedule. Again, sorry about that. I don't want to go on here and just complain about being too busy because I love what I'm doing. But with the combination of the cottages, there's a lot of planning and designing going into those. And I'll talk a little more on that later for those of you that haven't heard, which I'm sure many of you have. And I hate to just ramble on and on about the things we have going on. But so let's get to the questions and we'll see how far we come. The first video is way back, the Christmas porch. I call it Christmas, but it was more like a winter porch. I still haven't changed anything from the winter porch. I feel like it's still kind of fitting to this time of the year. It's not like anything really Christmassy was on there. It was more like a winter theme. But I have a few questions from that. And the first one here is Paula asking, Mary, when you were taking the lights down, I noticed a little red building in the background. Is that a storage shed? It's so cute. Have I missed you showing the structure? It's actually a playhouse or a clubhouse, as I'll call it since I have boys, that my husband built years ago. He actually built that one before we built this one. And, they never really played that much in it. I don't know, maybe it's because they were boys. I know us, like my sister and myself, we used to have a playhouse growing up and we played a lot in there. But I do now use it as a storage shed for some of my, planters, and I really should clean it out. I'd be really embarrassed to show you guys the inside of it. It's just one of those spaces where I kind of throw everything in there, and I have some things in there that I don't even use anymore. I should probably donate them or just get rid of them, but it is a cute little building, and it's really handy to have around. Ignatius Sawa says, wondering about the vinyl on the outdoor sign. Is it a special vinyl to last on the outside? I'm always kind of testing my Oracle 631 vinyl, which I talk a lot about that on here. It's my favorite vinyl. I of course use it for all of the indoor signs or decals that we sell. And I've been testing it over the years and, having some on the outside, on glass, on wood, various surfaces, and it seems to hold out. Now I did notice, trying to think if I had it in that video. I think I did I had a reindeer shape on the wooden box that I planted the one shrub in, and I noticed being that was on wood that actually got wet sometimes, probably expanded and dried out as wood does. I noticed the decal didn't stay on the best. I mean, it didn't fall off, but it had some wrinkles in it. So maybe I wouldn't advise to use it on a surface that does, like a wooden surface that gets some weather. Now the sign that I created that's hanging behind the furniture on the wall, that doesn't get a lot of weather, and that seems to be doing fine. In fact, I'm pretty sure I can store that and bring it out next year again. It looks perfect, just like it did when I applied it. But I'm always really impressed with the Oracle 631 vinyl. And in the past, I've actually used it on windows. I used to have an old window on the porch, like in the weather. I shouldn't say on the porch, it was actually on the outside, and that held out great. So I'd say any surface that is hard, like not wood, where water doesn't really soak in, that Oracle 631 vinyl will stay put. Peggy Dove says, I was wondering what you did to preserve your tree stump that is a side table. I really did not do much with it. I just gave it a coat of polyacrylic years ago. I'm not sure is that why it's still nice or not, but I feel the main reason is probably because it's under the roof. It doesn't get direct weather. You know, it might get moisture every now and then from blowing rain or snow, but it seems to be holding out quite nicely. I know for a while we had it as a seat in our campfire area. We had maybe 3 or 4 of those logs, and the rest of them rotted away, and for some reason this one never did, so I ended up bringing it up to the porch. I really like the look of it too, and I hope it will last many more years to come. And I'm thinking the polyacrylic probably does a good job of, you know, preserving it somewhat, and I should probably just continue to give it coats of that maybe every year, but I don't get around to it. Diana Dougherty says, just wondering if you get a snowstorm, do you bring the cushions and pillows inside? I don't. They get wet sometimes, again, from blowing rain or snow, but they dry rather quickly then, and I so far haven't had an issue with that. But definitely really helps with that big roof, you know, over it. And like I'll often do in my Q&As, I like to address the bottom comments in each video because those tend to be more on the negative side. Somehow YouTube can sort that. And I shouldn't even say negative because sometimes they're just, you know, critical, maybe even constructive criticism. That's how I like to take it. Sometimes they're not. Sometimes they're just plain mean, I'll be honest. And in this video, the bottom comment does not look negative at all. It's Sid Ledger saying, I love your porch always, but this winter decor and evergreens combo is gorgeous and so inviting. Oh, and those polka dot socks. Thanks for that. And yeah, I love my polka dot socks. I have a few questions from the fall cleanup video. Again, I can't believe we're talking fall here. We're almost in the spring season. This seems weird, but bear with me. Terry Chancellor says, or asks, do you have problems with snakes having the ivy growing under your deck? Yes, we do. We have snakes around here. I mean, it's not terrible. It's not like a daily sighting or anything, but I'm sure it's a combination with the ivy, and we have lots of rocks that I use to landscape with and plants, and it's just the perfect location for snakes. And I know they're part of nature and they're even good for your gardens, but I don't like to see snakes slithering about when I'm working in my gardens. So I'm thinking of, my sister actually advised me to use a snake stopper. It's something you sprinkle around your house or wherever you don't want to see snakes. I'm going to try that this year to see if we can see less of them. Phyllis Roark says, I wanted to ask where you got the throw and the cottage pillow in your she shed. So the throw is the one I'm sitting on right now. It is a really pretty blue and white and kind of tan colors. I think I got it from Amazon. I'll link it down below if I can find it. And the pillow is actually this one here. She says cottage pillow, so I assume it's this one. I made this a number of years ago. It's actually made out of drop cloth. It's more like a pillowcase. I have a narrow long insert that I put in here. And I'm trying to think if I did a video on this, or was it years ago when I had my blog. Right now I can't even remember, but I stamped these letters on here using those foam letters you can buy at Dollar General or Walmart. I just dipped them in paint and then stamped them on here. And I kind of like this pillow for this shed here. I think it's kind of fitting. Kathy Fair says, I absolutely love the bright red tree by your she shed. What is the name of it? And of course I love your she shed. Well, thank you for that. That bright red tree is actually a bush. It's not red right now. It was red this fall, but it's a burning bush. And it's probably one of the biggest ones I've ever seen. And I remember when it was planted. It was years ago. I was still living here at home, just a young girl, probably 12 or 13. And I know my mom got this idea to turn this whole backyard into a garden. And I just know that the soil here was terrible. Like here, we have to really amend the soil. We have lots of clay and rocks, and it's always kind of hard to actually create a flower bed because of that. But she was determined, and she turned this backyard into a flower bed. And someday I'll dig out some pictures of how it used to look. I think it would be fun to do kind of a before and after of some of the areas around here, being that, you know, this is my home place and lots of memories here. But anyway, I remember she placed this order where she sent in for plants, you know, to plant back here, like from a seed catalog. And I think the actual plants came, not the seeds, but she placed the order, and my sister Marlene was kind of into it too. At that point, I wasn't that much into gardening, but together they kind of planned out how this would look. And finally, this order came on the mail, and they were the tiniest little sprigs. You couldn't even see what it was. They were so tiny, just little, basically twigs without leaves, had little labels on them, and I think they were kind of disappointed, but they didn't give up. John is trying to distract me here. He's waving from the house. Anyway, they planted these, and one of those little sprigs was that burning bush. And I remember, guys, I'm guilty of mowing over it a couple times. I know it used to try to grow, and then I know Dad did it once too, but we ended up, mowing over it. I guess it should have been marked better, like where the edge of the flower bed or the lawn was, but it really went through something before it started growing, and when it grew, it just continued growing, and it's been big like this for a number of years. I'm not sure, it might have kind of stopped growing. I'm not sure about that. Would they continue or not? But it is just a nice big shrub that had a tough beginning. Van Derm 49 says, do you actually hang out in your she shed? It seems like you keep pretty busy. That is a good question. No, I don't hang out nearly enough back here. Gotta be honest. I would love to, but often I just have so many things I want to do. But when I do, it's worth it. It's so peaceful back here, as long as I don't have anyone distracting me from the window. But it's definitely a relaxing place, and right now I don't have my water feature going to my right here. I have a little pond, and I just love the sound of that. And yeah, it just reminds me, I want to spend more time back here this year. Maybe somehow I'll fit that in. The bottom comment here is Connie McGee saying, I think the fake fig tree is really a fake olive tree. It looks like olive to me. I think she's actually talking about this one, and it is an olive tree. I apologize for that. I probably said it wrong in my video, but definitely olive. I have a few questions from the room makeover video. That seems like eons ago. It was my niece, MB, redid a room on their upstairs. It was when Catherine, my oldest niece, got married last summer. She moved out, and instantly MB converted her old room into a sitting room of sorts. She did an awesome job with it. I can find my questions here. The first one here is O Holly F saying, do you know what took Mark, obviously too bright in here, I can barely read my screen. Do you know what tool Mark used to cut out electrical and switch? I wanted to look that up. I did see this question beforehand and I forgot, so I'll try to put the name on the screen. With such a handy tool to have around, we actually recently invested in one ourselves, and as I'm filming here, we're kind of working on the shed here. I gave it a makeover. I'm not sure which video will go out first, but you're going to see that soon. And John just yesterday used that tool to install a light switch in that wall. So it's definitely, a handy thing to have around, and I'll link it down below in the description box, or at least put the name on the screen so you guys know what it's called. Sarah McNutt says, where did the really big beanbag chair come from? I just texted my sister before I started the video, see if she answered. Yes, she did. She says, not quite sure, was thinking maybe Amazon. So I'll try to find that out and link it down below in case you're looking for a big, comfortable beanbag chair. Celia Cooper says, what a beautiful calm space MB has created. Is her gorgeous cat a Maine Coon? It certainly looks impressive enough to be one. Yes, we believe he is. He was a stray cat that got adopted by my sister and her family. And just the stuff he does and the research that we've done on Maine Coon cats, we're pretty sure that he is one. He is one of a kind, just such a friendly, sweet personality, and yet he can be so funny at times. He will come in here to visit us quite regularly too. It's so cute. We live along the same driveway, but distance-wise we're not really even that close, but I guess he knows he's welcome in here too. I always threaten Marlene that one of these days I'll just keep him. He's so cute. Toby Park says, love the makeover. Is MB married, and is that her house? No, that is her home place. She is only 19. She does have a boyfriend though, but not married at this point. And going to the bottom comment from that video, Elizabeth Ferroni says, it was a nice change to the room, an extreme makeover it was not, as the clickbait title suggests. I didn't mean it to be clickbait, but it may have appeared that way. I guess our definition of extreme could vary from person to person. To me, it was a pretty major makeover. I have a few questions from the Trash to Treasure video. The first one here is Louise Slock saying, I'm jealous of your ferns. What do you do to grow them like this? Marlene, my sister, actually kind of taught me what to do with them to make them grow bigger. If you buy them in the store, they come in these little pots and these big ferns. Plant them in larger pots. It's really simple, but that definitely works. I'm really excited this year. I'll show you guys in a future video, but I actually kept my ferns over winter. I can't believe it. That never worked for me. I think they're surviving so far. But yeah, they do definitely get a lot bigger if you plant them in larger pots. Linda P says, Mary, do you have a monthly budget for supplies, or do you buy them as you need them? I'll be honest here, guys, I did not want to answer this question. I kind of forced myself to put it in here to address it, just because I thought it would be good for myself to try to answer this. First of all, I could share stories with you guys about our past. I don't know, would you be interested ever in a video like this, but we had a phase or a lull in our marriage where we did not budget one thing. Everything was a dark cloud above us, like where our money would go. Not that we just spend on anything and everything we saw, but we didn't know where it went. And then we had an awakening about, I don't know, maybe 14, 15 years into our marriage. We went on a Dave Ramsey plan, and I know there's lots of contradictive things about, budgeting and what program to use or whatever, but for us that worked. And I could share with you things that happened after we went on that budget. No, things aren't just perfect and honky-dory, but just overall, we got a hold of our life and we were organized in that department. We had years of it was just amazing. I can't even start. I should just do a separate video on it. I can't really start here about it. Then things just changed. I had this YouTube channel, the Etsy shop, and John ended up quitting his job and coming home to help me. And it seemed like we didn't keep things up the way we did at one point. Sadly, I'm ashamed to say that, but we still do the cash envelopes. I really like that. And even that sometimes gets neglected a bit. It's just, I don't know, we're just crazy, too busy, just trying to get everything done and don't just take time to do it. It's no excuse, but that's basically, how it works. So this question here was a big reminder, and it was good for me to actually read it. I should be on a budget to get monthly supplies. But to answer your question, no, I don't really budget for supplies. When it comes to if I need something to film a video with, I guess I think it's kind of part of business. I kind of need it, but I try not to do that too often. I try to just use stuff that I have around the house, but every now and then, of course, I'll go to a dollar store and buy things there to redo and just make a video with, but I definitely need to be more organized in that department. And the bottom comment from that video is Cynthia Demian saying, "I'm sorry to say this, just being honest here, this is the worst show you have ever published. God bless you in the future." I had to smile a little when I read that because I kind of thought so myself. It's just weird how that works. Like I know when I made that video, I wanted to do a trash to treasure, and I just kind of searched around here for things that I had that I wanted to eventually redo, kind of stuck some odd things together, and that's probably why it ended up not being the greatest trash to treasure, but I still had fun doing it. And don't worry, I'm not offended one bit over a comment like this. I sometimes also think that. I have a few YouTubers that I watch, and every now and then they're going to have videos that I think this just wasn't the best work, but I would never comment about it, but that's just the difference in people. I have a few questions from the Twig decor video. It's where I use some twigs out of the woods to create some decorations over Christmas time. Chris Curtin says, "I had no idea the Amish did not put up Christmas trees. I'm curious if and how you celebrated Christmas in different ways as a child. I find learning about different religions fascinating. Merry Christmas to you and your family." Well, thank you for that. So I had to change my battery. So Christmas trees. No, we never had Christmas trees growing up. I would have loved to have one though. And we didn't really have any extra things that we celebrated, mostly just food and family get-togethers. That's what I remember as a child. Of course, we did fun things during the winter, went outside. I have lots of memories of sled riding and playing with neighborhood kids like Fox and Geese and games like that. And just, lots of good memories in that way, which that's more winter memories. But as far as Christmas, just getting together with family, extended family, large get-togethers, and plenty of food always. And the bottom comment from that video is Cass77788 saying, "Better be careful in the woods. Hundreds of people just disappear. Lots of berry pickers have vanished. Sasquatch country." I assume this is probably a joke put in here. I don't think this person is serious. I would never be frightened in our woods. In fact, I often feel really safe. I remember growing up, my sister and I, when we stayed alone, like by ourselves, those first times when our parents would maybe go somewhere, even just for a short little period of time, we'd be, by ourselves. We actually felt more comfortable out in the woods than in the house. Like my parents would come home and we wouldn't be in the house, like we'd be out in the woods. Somehow we felt more comfort there. We literally lived out there. We played just hours in the woods all the time, and that was probably why we felt more comfortable. I always felt like in a house, you heard all these creaks and what if somebody would be, would start opening a door, or it always seemed scarier to me to be in a house. The next few questions are from the Singer sewing machine cabinet makeover video. T. Rector says, what do you do with the old Singer machines? You could probably sell them as decor pieces, just a thought. I thought about that too. At this point, they're still sitting in the shop collecting dust, so I'd really need to clean them up, but I thought about putting them in my booth in the antique mall. Trudy Cranford says, where did you get the black shirt with the cat head outline? My oldest son, Kenny, actually gave that to me for Christmas. I love it. It's so comfortable and cute. And I think he got it from Amazon. I'll put the link down below in the description box if he did, because I would have that link. I feel like I say that a lot, like we get all of our things from Amazon. We actually shop elsewhere too. It's not all just Amazon. Debbie D says, can you tell me where I can get the bowl you have for your mixer? Mine is metal. I do have a metal one too. That is the one that came with the mixer, but MB, my niece, gifted me with the glass one, and I really like it. It's just a little bit bigger, and it's handy sometimes when I'm cooking in the kitchen to actually have two of them, and I will ask her where she got it. I'm pretty sure you can get them at Walmart. Not quite sure, but I'll make sure to put that down below in the description box in case you're looking for one, but it's definitely a handy thing to have around. The bottom comment from that video is Virginia saying, never would I presume to destroy such a classic piece as a Singer treadle sewing machine. Shame on you. I kind of wondered when we redid those stands if somebody would think that way. Honestly, around here they are a dime a dozen. It's probably because, we live in Amish Mennonite community here, and everybody used to have those sewing machines. I know my grandparents had a Singer sewing machine, some of my aunts. I learned how to sew on a treadle sewing machine. It wasn't a Singer brand, but a White, I think, was Mom's brand. But eventually people switched over to the battery powered ones. And I can see that is probably why I did not even think about it, just because there's so many around here. But I can see where if you live in a community or grew up with not seeing those things, it probably would be more of a big deal to see someone maybe destroying one. The next video here is a thrifting video that I had shot in, I think it was January when I did this one. Mally Flowers says, I enjoy a thrifting makeover anytime. I love the bar cart most of all. Why did you opt for contact paper on the plant stand instead of stenciling? Well, first of all, stenciling takes a lot of time, and I love that wallpaper. It's that white with the green leaves on it. I just often gravitate towards that if I'm doing a project, because I think it's so fitting I plan to keep that stand, and I can see where it would fit in with our home, so I guess that's why I used it. But stenciling is always pretty too, like it's more, you spend more time on it. It probably has more meaning in a way than just slapping on a piece of contact paper, but again, in this case, I really like that wallpaper. Angela Van says, what was the deciding factor in hand painting versus spray painting? Size, time, just curious. I'm trying to think what I did in that thrifting makeover. I think I probably just hand painted because it was probably too cold on the outside to spray paint, so that's probably why I chose to hand paint. Sometimes I like to just good old have a brush in my hand and paint. I even like to see brush strokes on things, especially depending what it is. It makes it look older. But again, in this case, it may have been the weather. It's just harder if it's cold on the outside to try to spray paint. Maria Beachy asks, wondering what kind of paintbrush that you use. I really like Do It Best brand brushes. I often get those because our local hardware has them. 2.5 inch slanted is often what I'll get. Now and then I'll buy the Worcester brand is also a good one. I think it's not quite as expensive as some of them, kind of in between, and they work perfect. The bottom comment from that video is Carol Harris asking, why don't you take the used dirty things you bring home to somewhere besides your house to clean and work on? Well, honestly, to me it's so easy to just work in my kitchen. I like to just lay drop cloth on the floor, work on there. That way, since I'm cooking for my family or just doing other things, maybe as I'm waiting for my paint to dry, I'm there. Like, it's not that I have to go to another building or run outside in the cold. Here in Ohio it gets pretty cold, so sometimes I avoid that. I could probably use the shop, like our workshop is heated, but often maybe John is in there sanding or doing something that is creating a dust, and I don't want dust to settle on my newly painted things, so that is often a factor too. But yeah, I can imagine it may seem kind of weird to people that I actually do that, but to me that's kind of what makes sense. The next video is the winter mantle one. Jennifer Jan says, how did you attach the garland? I struggled with mine. I am trying to think what kind of garland I hung on that mantle. I did a rope garland on the bottom. That was probably what she's talking about. I think I did like a greenery on the top of my sign. But for both of them, I have these little nails. They're not sure what they're called, but they're just skinny little nails with tiny heads, like a finishing nail, but really short. I will often just use that in my mantle. And this mantle that I have in the living room is nothing fancy. Like, we didn't spend a lot of money on it. I just made it myself from old wood that we had. So basically nothing was spent on it. So that is one of the benefits of having things that are used or just homemade. Like, you don't feel as bad to make little holes in it versus if you buy a brand new piece of furniture and spend a lot of money on it. But yeah, those little nails really work quite well to hang things. Cher Carlife says, so cute, thanks for sharing. I love the rope detail. Did you paint it or is it natural? That is a natural rope. I think I bought that at Hobby Lobby a couple of years ago. Just a nice soft rope. I know the first year I had it, I used it as a garland on the Christmas tree. But yeah, I also love the color, very natural looking. The bottom comment from that video is Donna P saying, I don't think you read the comments, but I like it. Honestly, comments like this bother me much, much more than the ones that are more on the mean side. I always feel so bad about that. That's probably the worst thing with having a YouTube channel like this. I do read some of the comments. I don't get to read them all, but I read some of them, and I never comment on them. I probably should do that, but I'll tell you the main reason I don't is because I just treat everyone the same and just don't really answer any of them, if that makes sense. Trust me, I've often been moved to tears in the comment section, and I laugh out loud sometimes in the comment section. It's not that I don't enjoy it, and I do read them. I just don't really comment back because I then feel if I comment to one person, like, what about this other person that had this other story and I couldn't reach out to them? I know it's probably a weird excuse, but that's kind of how it is. I just kind of treat everyone the same, but I do appreciate all of the comments. Know that, and they do get read, a lot of them. And as far as for these questions here, I've mentioned this before, but MB usually gets those together for me. So she ends up coming across a lot of comments, and sometimes she'll just save some of the funny ones or some that I don't even mention on here, but just for me to see then, which I really appreciate that. But yeah, it kind of made me sad when I read that comment. I wish I could answer to all of them and just yeah, connect more with you guys. And I feel like I felt a little bit disconnected this year already. I think it was because I didn't do these Q&As. Like, I feel this is one way where I can kind of connect in a way with you, just answering some of the questions. And just, I'm usually not for, you know, just really chatty videos. I'd rather be doing something in them and maybe just sharing my ideas. That's more my idea of a video. So the Q&As probably aren't my favorite, but I do want to try to do them for you guys, and just hopefully you can get something out of them. And I think I'm going to stop for today. I thought about doing a few more videos, but I think I'd rather just do another Q&A for that. We actually have something going on tonight, so I better stop and prepare for that. So I appreciate you guys hanging out with me in my bright shed here. Again, not sure how the lighting is. I have a different setting that I'm using on the camera because it's so bright, so I'm not sure will it even look right when I go to edit, but crossing my fingers it will. I'm trying to think if there's any announcements I should make before ending here, and the one that comes to mind is I plan to release new soap the 15th of every month. That is coming up soon here, so watch for that. My cousin and I are always making soap. It's so much fun, and I thought it would be a good system to kind of have a certain date where we'd always release like new soap. It's kind of hard with, you know, there's curing time involved in this soap, like 4 to 6 weeks, so you really have to think ahead, but watch for that soon. I'm not even sure when this video will go out. Maybe the soap will be out already by the time I post this, but if not, check that out if you're looking for some good homemade soap. And I also have an exciting video coming up from some new products we're going to carry on the Etsy shop. I'm really excited about that, so watch for that. As always, I hope you're having a great day. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.